A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before.
I will be your shield in the fiercest battle. I'll defend you from all these arrows, and the sword I wield will keep you from danger. Let me be your shield.
Royce White is speaking truth to power.
We will not give up a single rank guaranteed under the Constitution.
You know I'm always going to talk about the real things. Okay. Free the Uyghurs.
If I'm going to die, I'll die now, right here fighting you.
Let me be your shield, let me be your shield.
What's wrong in this country is our sense of American citizenship is lost. It's lost in convenience.
Let me be your shield, let me be your
Convenience will be the death of freedom. This is my show. And on my show, I control the conversation. Welcome back to another episode of the Royce White Show here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm your host, Royce White. You're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra MAGA and America First movement. The old adage is, you win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. This is not a battle that we can afford to lose. If we lose this battle here and now, our nation will suffer, but we may perish altogether. Some battles you can afford to lose. This isn't one of them. Lose this battle, we lose the war. And that's why we have to hold the line. There can be no de-escalation. You can't de-escalate from a non-starter. You can't de-escalate from an unreasonable and illogical premise. You can't de-escalate or negotiate from non-reality. You can only negotiate or de-escalate when two parties or multiple parties are living in the same reality. And as you heard there from Yuri Benzimov, who was a former KGB turncoat, talk about ideological subversion. It's so odd. You know, it's truly strange to see the Rachel Maddows and Scarboroughs of the world, the entire MSNBC crew or their Axios counterpart, you know, The Guardian, the BBC, and all of these people talk about how dangerous Russia is in an attempt to further NATO's agenda of expansion, even if it means nuclear holocaust, it would seem. Yet the real fight that we're losing with Russia is not even with the current day Russians by some people's measure. I don't really know what the Russians are up to. Maybe they're, you know, taking us for a ride and there really are a bunch of former Soviet Union, KGB, Leninists, Stalinists in there. It's possible. But either way, the real war we're losing with Russia is just as Yuri described it right there in the cold open. Ideological subversion. And we're doing it to ourselves. We've allowed it to be done here in America by our own hand. You know, it's just here in Minnesota, and again, we say this is the belly of the beast. You know, I don't think anything could have happened in this election cycle that is more providential and vindicating that we have been saying on my show and from Free People Radio and you know, on War Room, when I've been on Alex Jones, even when I was on Fearless with Jason Whitlock, that Minnesota is the belly of the beast. Minneapolis, Minnesota is the belly of the beast. Proven to be true in the most unfortunate way. It's like ideological subversion. You can't even talk about reality with some of these people. They're not able to tell reality from non-reality. in what world do you let $20 billion of fraud occur? And by all standard metrics, all of the polls would suggest you're willing to elect the same cadre of people in the upcoming election. It's almost as though you're saying stealing from us is not a, or let's say not stealing from us is not a prerequisite for governance. Integrity, competence, not being involved in the biggest fraud scandal in the history of the state is not a prerequisite for getting elected. Not at all. And it says something about us as Minnesotans, is my point. It says something about us that we're willing to let this government, Tim Walz and the entire cadre of people up and down the trough, we're willing to allow these people to steal from us and vote for them again. At least that's what the people in the streets are willing to do. At least that's the conscious concession of freedom and liberty and even decency the people in the streets have made. Strange time we're living in. Strange time. Imagine I let my friend here babysit my child for some unforeseeable reason. They lose the kid. The kid gets up and walks out of the front door. He's down the street or around the corner at the neighbor's house and, barefoot in his diaper. Or in the mall and, security's got him, at the security department and they got to pull out the call. If you're missing a baby, please report to the front security office here at the, entrance A. And I turn around the next day and I let that person babysit my kid again. I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine allowing your friend to babysit your child? And the friend loses the kid. Kid's okay. You find the kid, luckily. Never really know what happened to the kid in the time that you lost him. Maybe he swallowed a sucker. I mean, who knows? But you get the kid back, and then you let the same person babysit the kid the very next day. That is how you know we're no longer dealing with reality when it comes to some of these people. And Minnesota is the prime example. And we don't know how the elections are going to shake out yet. By many people's measures, by all of the statistics, again, there were 1 million Christians in Minnesota that did not cast a ballot in the 2024 election. 1 million voter-age Christians in Minnesota did not cast a ballot in the 2024 presidential cycle. So there are huge numbers to gain. Huge numbers. Enough to bridge the gap, enough to cover the spread, and then some. I lost by 400,000 votes on paper, and we're going to get rid of some of the fraud, hopefully, and we're going to clean the voter rolls, hopefully, and we're going to make sure that the elections are secure, meaning paper ballot, hopefully. But there's going to be a huge fight. If you think the fight about illegal immigration is epic, when we get to really bearing down on these elections and election integrity and security, the fight is going to be biblical. I guarantee it. I guarantee when we get around to really bearing down on these elections, the fight is going to be biblical. It's just a warm-up. But all that considered, we have the numbers to win in Minnesota and send Mike Lindell to the Capitol as governor and send me to the United States Senate. February 3rd, coming up this week. You're here in Minnesota. Go to caucus. Go to caucus. Don't let the Republican Party get hijacked by the same people who are stealing from you on both sides of the aisle. We're going to talk about some of those people here in a moment on our side. But we got to get through this ideological subversion first. Blatant ideological subversion. You're watching The Royce White Show. We'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned.
It's just like our new house.
I hope you have an American Home Shield warranty. Leaky toilet? Fixed. Oven beyond repair? If AHS can't fix your covered item, then replace it, no matter its age. Sign up today at ahs.com.
Half protection is not enough. Using just an antivirus online is also not enough. Get better online protection with NordVPN. It will encrypt your online traffic, protect you from malware, phishing, and stop annoying ads. Get NordVPN now.
Guys, if you plan to retire in the next 20 years, or if you've already retired, I have a message for you that you need to hear. Central banks, BRIC nations, and our allies are pumping trillions of dollars back into America, but every dollar they send could make your savings worth less. Hi. I'm Donald Trump Jr., and I just want you to be prepared for the future. So protect your hard-earned savings with gold. A gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group offers you the safety net of gold with the tax advantage status of a retirement account. To see how it's done, click the link below to get a free info kit on gold IRAs. This kit reveals why gold IRAs are exploding in popularity, so do it now. What do you have to lose? It's free and there's no obligation. Click the link below to get your free info kit from the Birch Gold Group.
Kevin paid off over $12,000 in credit card debt with the help of Consolidated Credit. They cut his interest rates and lowered his payments so he could pay off his debt fast. Call 800-596-8062 for a free consultation.
Who wants to drag out a bulky vacuum? Introducing Horsepower Duck, a super compact vac with ultra powerful suction. Clean up that mess in the kitchen, the spill on the sofa, even sawdust in the workshop. Just duck it up. The compact design can reach the tightest places, so store it in any drawer where it's always at your fingertips. You can even store it in your glove box for the ultimate car vac. The HEPA filter helps remove dust and allergens. Plus, it dumps out with ease, so it's ready to clean again. Get the Horsepower Duck hand vac for just $39.99. Order right now and we'll upgrade you to the Duck Pro package, a $30 value, yours free. You get the bendable tube, the crevice nozzle, and the soft brush nozzle, but supplies are limited, so there's a strict limit of 3 ducks per order. This may be your last chance to get yours at this low price. So don't delay. Duck it up today.
Call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com. So call 1-800-693-3440 or visit duckback.com now.
Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. You're watching Real America's Voice, headquarters of the Ultra MAGA America First movement. And we kicked off the show with Yuri Benzimov and his words about ideological subversion, which we are clearly submerged in now. Neck deep, at least neck deep, if not taking a mouthful of water when it comes to ideological subversion. And, you know, there are 3 distinct groups of people out there. 3 distinct groups of people. One group of people hate this country. Yeah, there's that group of people. Another group of people just hate President Trump. And there's a third group of people who are desperately afraid of isolation. And that third group of people, that third bucket is growing rapidly by our own hand. This is where technology and ideological subversion go hand in hand. Technology and ideological subversion are walking side by side right now in this country. Everybody wants to be a part of the deal. Everybody wants to be, prime time. Everybody wants to be the star in their own movie. And we've made it possible. We've made it possible for people to think that they're the star in their own movie. And you're not. I mean, let's just be honest about it. You have 340 followers. You have 340 followers, and six of your pictures are poorly taken, poorly lit mirror selfies. puddles of water on the sink where from where you just halfway washed your hands, but you're wearing a COVID mask. That's the move. That's the script that we're on for a lot of you. But hey, I mean, if I can hit the streets in a massive protest, exercise my humanitarian nature, and maybe I get a brief shot on the nightly news, or I can at least take a selfie and show the rest of my 340 followers that I'm some, self-sacrificing, altruistic, secular humanist. Oh, boy, my goals are completed. I'm scratching things off of my bucket list. That's what technology has done. That's what the ease and convenience of technology has done. In the beginning of the show, I say, convenience will be the death of freedom. It's more convenient than ever to pretend like you actually have meaning in your life. It's easier than ever. It's more convenient than ever to pretend that you've actually done something for somebody else. And that's what you see out there in the streets of Minneapolis right now. And today, massive protests are scheduled for today. Massive protests. It's 10 degrees outside. Right now, it's probably 0, and the high is going to be 10 degrees. And God bless these people. I mean, they are willing to go the distance to pretend that they're fighting their own oppression. They're not. They're not fighting their own oppression. This is suicidal empathy. They are lending a hand to their own destruction. There is a big difference between fighting your oppression and having a hand in your own destruction. Big difference. Huge difference. Football field spread difference. Football field length difference between the two. One end zone, you got fighting your oppression. At the other end zone, all 100 yards down and even further, I mean, that's a short metaphor, you have lending a helping hand to your own destruction. And that's the argument we're going to have with these people. And anybody in the MAGA movement is using the word de-escalation. De-escalating from what? From a non-starter? They'll lie. They're lying. They just lie. Oh, well, President Barack Obama deported more people, but nobody got killed. He didn't detain children. The conditions and method and manner, that these deportations were carried out weren't inhumane or scrutinized so heavily. It's all a lie. People were killed. People were shot. Children were detained. The cages, we remember those iconic pictures of children in cages with what looked like aluminum foil. Sheets of aluminum foil as covers to stay warm. Because for some strange reason, these ICE facilities we built to detain these people didn't have what? Central air? Temperature control? These people were laying on these in these detained cages with aluminum foil to cover up with. Nobody remembers these iconic images. And see, the difference isn't the civility with which the deportations were carried out. The difference clearly is the mainstream media only softly scrutinized President Barack Obama for the deportations that happened under him because he was carrying out the rest of their agenda. Barack Obama was carrying out the rest of their agenda, which is why there was only a soft scrutiny from the mainstream media. There certainly wasn't a full-scale weaponization of every nook and cranny of social decay, demoralization, and ideological subversion across our American society against deportations. That's what we have right now. That's what's taking place right now. The entire establishment has marshaled up all of their propaganda resources to make this immigration issue the divide, the dividing line. That's what's happened here. That's the only difference between President Trump's administration and Barack Obama's administration when it comes to deportations. I was 18 years old in 2009. You know, I was, I'd have been 22 in 2012. There were never any full-scale, organized operations, counter-ICE operations in major metropolitan cities. Never. And I've lived in 4 different major metropolitan cities. I've never seen a full-scale, full weight of the mainstream media, full weight of one political party to oppose the deportations of illegal immigrants in this country's history. Never. In 34 years. I'm halfway through an average American life. In 34 years, I've never seen a full-scale counter-operation to defend illegal immigrants staying in this country. Never seen it. That's the only difference between President Trump and President Barack Obama's deportation method. The deportations under their administration. The only difference is, one, pretty much deported people unobstructed. Certainly unobstructed by the mainstream media. There were, some criticisms here and there. Some criticisms here and there about, the way that the illegal immigrants were treated. Obviously, the kids in cages became a big one. But it felt like at that time, people were investigating an issue and had no real clue where the buck stopped. I mean, people were surprised. It seemed like even President Barack Obama's administration was surprised to some extent. At least that's how they played it in the media. They was, whoa, we had no clue this is how this was being carried out. Sure you didn't. Sure you didn't. And I love what Tom Homan said, and God bless him, he's a patriot, an everyday man, an everyday guy. Been around for 40 years. Since the Reagan administration, came up as a Border Patrol and ICE guy from the Reagan administration. And he laid it out perfectly here in Minneapolis. I agree with what he said 1,000%. Look, there are standards, and we're going to hold our ICE agents to these standards. And if they don't meet the standard, there'll be consequences. Nothing wrong with that. It's not backing off. That's enforcing what's already on the books, the same way we should do our immigration laws. The problem with it is one side doesn't agree with enforcing what's already on the books. And it's clear which side that is. The question is, to what end? Why? Why? You got to realize most of the people that we see out in the streets, they don't understand. The real ideological subversion isn't happening out there in the streets. You're seeing the byproduct of ideological subversion that was already 2 generations in when Yuri warned us about it. The real ideological subversion happened in our schools, in our education system, and with our propaganda, the mainstream media. And so the police are the lowest rung of the military-industrial complex. Our food is the lowest rung of the medical-industrial complex. Education is the lowest rung of the media-industrial complex. Our education was captured. So we stopped teaching kids the importance of having a country and what it means to have a country. And what happens when you allow unfettered illegal immigrants to flood your country? What happens economically, what happens socially, etc. That was where the ideological subversion is taking place. And then we added fast and easy technological social gratification on top of it. You got a bunch of people in the streets who are committing seppuku. They don't even get it. I don't even think they get it. Or even worse, I think they're so desperate to be a part of some superficial collective good. They're willing to take that in exchange for a slow death to come, and that is harrowing. You're watching The Royce White Show. I'm here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Might have to start coming to you daily. We've been saying that for a while, but we really might have start coming to you daily now. We'll be right back in a moment. Stay tuned after this break.
says, in a fight for her soul, our freedoms are under attack. Our values are being torn down, and the same corrupt elites who built this mess think they can silence us. The patriots who still believe in this country, not a chance. Here at Real America's Voice, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, a movement that says we will not be silenced.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
And the voice of millions of patriots who refuse to kneel to tyranny. This is the movement of fighters, men and women who still believe in God, family, and the American dream. The conservative alternative to AARP.
Real rights, they come from God.
If you're ready to stand up and join the fight, go to amac.us/RAV right now. That's amac.us/RAV, because this isn't just about politics. It's about saving America. Faith, freedom, America first. AMAC and Real America's Voice, united for the Republic.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It easily blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, soap, mildew, mold, and more. Forget harsh chemicals. With just plain water, Horsepower can clean bathroom tiles and tubs back to their original shine and luster. It's a game changer in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud. Take it outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. How strong is Horsepower? We took this distressed 100-year-old antique and restored it to like new with Horsepower. Amazing! Get your Ruby Horsepower scrubber today with bonus scouring sponge for just $39.99. Save on buying batteries. It's powered with the latest rechargeable technology. But wait, you'll also get this stainless steel brush to make range hoods and gas stoves look brand new again. Yours free. And we're not done. You'll get this Smart Flex cone brush that fits perfectly into corners, tiny crevices on toilets and tiles, or hard to reach shower door rails. Yours free. And to top it off, we'll include this microfiber cloth to clean delicate surfaces and polish cars sparkling clean. It's also free. Great news. Horsepower is now in stock and ready to ship, but due to high demand, there is a strict limit of 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-953-8622. That's 1-800-953-8622, or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-953-8622 now.
Welcome back to the Royce White Show. I'm your host, Royce White, here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it truly is the belly of the beast. We're happy to have you here this Saturday morning. Unfortunately, it has to be under these circumstances. And we're set for it. Massive protests today in Minneapolis. And, you know, even the protests themselves, and President Trump, please hear me on this, okay? Because I come from that side. You cannot de-escalate or negotiate with these people. It is the entire point of their strategy, just to get you to negotiate again. And when I say I come from that side, I mean I come from a culturally Democrat Black community. We're trying to change those communities. Some of these things are beyond their scope of understanding. And good leaders, and President Trump is doing a fantastic job, and he's always, you know, up until now, on many of these issues, he's been able to communicate a common sense that is lost on your average American citizen. Even if they have the intuition something is wrong, he's been able to communicate common sense that helps bridge the gap, especially on tough matters of the status quo, tough matters of conventional wisdom. He's been able to communicate common sense into that void. We cannot lose this battle. And it's a battle of the narrative. We're going to win the battle of deporting the illegal immigrants. We won the battle of closing the border. But there was a referendum in there where for a brief moment, the American people appeared to understand that a country without a border isn't a country, and it would have terrible ramifications on every American citizen. Maybe the majority of American citizens still understand that, still approve of that, still carry that same sentiment. Maybe that narrative is starting to shift. But certainly our opponents and enemies would love to present the American people in a way that would suggest they have a different opinion now about the border and by way of how to carry out these deportations, immigration enforcement. This is where they are masterful. This is where the communists and Marxists are masterful in ideological subversion. They knew they couldn't win the fight about having a border. To leave a border open was just was too far, too much to leave a border wide open. That was too much. The American people didn't have an appetite for that. So they pivot. They pivot. That's what they do. They pivot. They move the goalposts. They change the standard. And right now, they are currently, today, when you see people out in the streets in Minnesota, they are manufacturing a consent that the closing of our border is somehow separated from deporting the illegal immigrants. They're inextricably linked. Sure, you can make an argument that closing the border and stopping the bleeding was important. But you can also make just as logical of an argument that allowing the people who came across the border, allowing them to stay here, allowing them to live here, allowing them to parasite off of the American people and the American taxpayer is itself connected to the border as well. That is the argument that we have to make. That is even deeper than that. I'm not saying you need to convince everybody. Sometimes a coach has got to be a coach. Sometimes the principal of a school has got to be the principal of a school. Sometimes the head coach or the master at a dojo has to be the master at the dojo. Some decisions just have to be made, and the American people have to come to grips with it and become accustomed to the logic because they have been brainwashed. Ideological subversion, they don't even understand what they don't understand, and we did it. We allowed our schools to start to teach all of these wonky academic theories coming out of Cambridge or Oxford or wherever they were coming out of. I don't know. We can trace the lineage, the Frankfurt School, or whatever. I mean, all of these academic, intellectual, global thought leaders. And it just started to funnel its way right down to I can't tell you how many, teachers there are in America or across America walking around with a paperback copy of the book Sapiens by Noah Yuval Harari. Oh, Sapiens, have you read it? Such a good book. Oh my goodness. I read the first 30 pages and I go, this guy's a Satanist. You can tell right away, just by the style of prose, just the premise. This guy's a Satanist. And he is. And a lot of these secular humanists are hiding and pretending, that they just come from some pragmatic, secular, scientific lens. It's like facts. We're all about the facts. What about the facts when it comes to our border? You're all about the facts when it comes to theoretical science and gain of function. You're all about the facts when it comes to nuclear war and Holocaust. You're all about the facts when it comes to masking individuals against their will. You're all about scientific fact until it comes to the border, until it comes to basic things like the consequences of mass migration. Then all of a sudden the facts, they don't matter. Facts don't count anymore. The facts don't count anymore when it comes to the border. Even the American people, as dumbed down as they've been over the generations, as dumbed down as the average American citizen has become, even the American people in 2024 said, wait a second, we can't have an open border. Come on. wait a second. We may let you lie to us and tell us that Joe Biden doesn't have any cognitive decline. Some of us may accept that because, everybody still loves a grandpa or an aunt or uncle that's on the back end and not the front end, right? I mean, we all have a warm place in our heart for our elders that eventually are going to face that cognitive decline. So they try to run that on us with Joe Biden. I mean, come on, he served with distinction. He served with distinction. He was hard on borders before, super predators, crime bill, the whole nine. The entire United States Senate captured by special interests and lobby money. Joe Biden was there at the trough for all of it. But hey, he served with distinction. He's done us a good run. He's given us a good run, done us a good service. So if he slips and falls one every 3 times he's in the public, we'll call it, good old seasoning, not cognitive decline. Okay. I thought that was reprehensible, to be honest. I mean, I thought if we're going to draw a line morally and ethically, if we're going to draw a line of integrity, I thought the fact that anybody would suggest Joe Biden didn't have cognitive decline, and that any portion of the American people would accept it, I thought that was the line we should draw. But okay. Good old Sleepy Joe is, he's just had a long run. Got it. They still were willing to say, but we have to have a border. We have to have a border. Now we're going to move the chains. Now we're going to move the goalpost. Now we have to have a border, but the 15 million foreign invaders get to stay? This is just a crisis of first principles. It's just we are watching an intellectual crisis. We are watching a crisis of education and a crisis of critical thought. So when you have a crisis of critical thought, I mean, imagine you being a father of 8 children, ages 8 to, 16. Perfectly depicted by the movie Cheaper by the Dozen. In the movie Cheaper by the Dozen, right? We should all go back and watch that movie if you get a chance this weekend. You find some downtime and you want to blow off some steam, go watch Cheaper by the Dozen. You'll see what happens, certain parts in the plot in the movie where the house becomes chaotic because the children overwhelm the parents. And at some point, the father has to just put his foot down and go, you know what? This is what's right and this is what's wrong. You're an 8-year-old kid. I know you think you know what's right, but you obviously don't. We've lost that in our society. We've lost that part in our society as well. You can't even spank your kids anymore when they're, when they are clearly well beyond that's how you get to this place. That's another buried lead. The crisis and failure of standard parenting in this country has fallen by the wayside, and that's how you get these self-entitled, pompous, know-it-all idiots out there in the streets protesting to crush their own wages and make their own communities more unsafe. And some of them are so narcissistic and nihilistic, which is also a byproduct of bad parenting, but also ideological subversion at the schools, that they crave tyranny, but they really want destruction. They really want suicide. Too cowardly to commit suicides. That's why you got to respect the Japanese samurai. I mean, these people were a different breed. Out of sacred honor, they would enter the blade just beneath the heart. Out of their own sacred honor, they were willing to die on their sword, literally. And that's why we dropped 2 atomic bombs on them. Because they showed us in World War II that they were willing to go to a place that most people aren't willing to go to for victory. These people aren't even trying to win a war. They just enjoy the ride down. They just enjoy the ride to destruction. We can't let them run our country. Not a battle we can lose here. You're watching The Royce White Show. We'll be right back in a moment. Stay tuned. After a brief break, Real America's Voice, Tip of the Spear, Ultra MAGA, America First Movement.
President Trump ended the nightmare for almost all January 6 defendants when he delivered on his promise to pardon those who suffered through our two-tiered system of justice. But there are still 12 January 6 defendants whose fights are far from over. These J6ers still face overwhelming legal battles. Scan the QR code now or visit j6support.com to help stand in the gap, push for pardons for these patriots. Many have lost their jobs, homes, and life savings due to prolonged incarceration, and even though they've had their sentences commuted, they still cannot vote, possess firearms, receive any military pensions and retirement benefits, obtain health care coverage for themselves and their families, or secure employment. Stand in the Gap is renewing our Justice Restoration Fund to advocate for full pardons for these patriots. Please visit j6support.com or scan the QR code to support our fight for justice for these January 6 defendants. Your gift today helps us partner with reputable attorneys and legal advisors to ensure they have a fair chance at winning their cases and having their rights restored. Please donate today to let these J6ers know that they are not forgotten. Scan the QR code or visit j6support.com to make a tax-deductible donation to our Justice Restoration Fund.
You push it. You try to slide it. You even try to hold them shut. But your doors just won't stay closed no matter what. Introducing Ruby Monkey Magnets. Brand new ultra-thin magnetic plates that will keep your doors and drawers shut. And now may be your last chance to get them at a low price. Just peel to reveal the super strong adhesive. Place the monkey, then the magnet, and close. Installation is that simple, and now you have a door that will stay shut. So forget drawers that won't stay closed. Every drawer stays closed. It's so fast and so easy. Even large sliding doors or cordless window blinds. Everything stays closed with Monkey Magnets. The secret is the ultra-strong industrial magnet that's powerful attraction keeps your doors and drawers securely shut. These magnets are so strong they can hold this hammer that's nearly 5 pounds. Plus they're super thin. They'll fit just about anywhere, and they stay out of sight. Even screw them in for a more permanent solution. Monkey Magnets are perfect for cabinets, dresser drawers, sliding closet doors, accordion doors, and more. They're made of ultra-durable metal, so even your outdoor problems are solved in an instant because they're corrosion and rust resistant. Use them anywhere outside the house, even on that stubborn mailbox that won't stay shut. Monkey Magnets can stick anywhere, from drywall to all types of wood frames, metal surfaces, and more. Call or go online now to get 8 sets of Monkey Magnets for only $9.99. Monkey Magnets are guaranteed to last 10 years or your money back. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get Monkey Magnets at this low price. There is a strict limit of 1 full house pack per order while supplies last. So order now to keep all your doors and drawers shut tight with Monkey Magnets.
Call 1-800-519-4810. That's 1-800-519-4810. Call or visit GetMonkeyMagnets.com. So call 1-800-519-4810. Order now.
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before.
When the military boot crashes his balls, then he understands. Until then, he will refuse to see it. The question becomes, if we accept that ideological subversion has taken place, then what is the duty of this administration? Then what is the duty of this government? Then what is the duty of the conservative movement, of the MAGA movement, of the America Firsters, of the Republican Party? What is our duty in the face of that reality? Is it to stick our finger up in the air and go with the winds? Or is it incumbent upon a leader to put their foot down and say, this is just what it is. This is what it is, and this is what it's going to be? The obvious rebuttal is going to, tyranny, fascism. Oh, it's so fascist. Oh, this guy's a tyrant. He's a king. We already saw it was no kings. We saw it during the Roe v. Wade battle. Everybody said that huge droves of women would die, because Roe v. Wade was kicked back to the states. That was a drama they put on. Didn't come to fruition. Climate catastrophe didn't come to fruition. Black people are being targeted by the KKK police. Numbers didn't match. There's a genocide against the transgender community. Numbers didn't match. If we really took a look at what's going on with these deportations, where are the deaths and disappearances of, are we really going to go to a place, and this is really strange. This is as dark as it gets. There has been a child and human trafficking problem in this country for so long. Every year, hundreds of thousands of children and people go missing. Hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands of children go missing in this country every year. And nobody even batted an eyelash. Nobody even batted an eyelash. Now all of a sudden our neighbors are disappearing. Are they? Yeah, they're disappearing because they're getting deported. That's why they're disappearing. The question becomes, what kind of drama are you guys playing out here? What kind of drama is being played? There's no due process. There's no due process. Did you give due process to the January 6ers? Was there due process there? There was no due process for the people of January 6th. You claimed they were insurrectionists, tried to, run a coup on the federal government, and therefore the rules don't apply to them. That was your justification. And then you try to re-justify, double down on the point when President Trump pardoned them because of how you mistreated them. That's the truth of it. So the people of January 6th were insurrectionists, but the mayor of Minneapolis can say publicly he will not comply with federal immigration law. And that's just his opinion? That's just his own individual view of immigration and immigration policy? That's not insurrection? It's a pipsqueak mayor to even say something like that in the first place. And President Trump told them, you're playing with fire. But I don't even think that's enough. Who is the mayor of Minneapolis to say that he's not going to comply with federal immigration law? And who are these stupid people out in the streets who are going to pretend that President Trump is to blame for the heavy presence of ICE concentrated in the Minneapolis area, and not their own mayor, who openly says he will not comply with immigration law. It comes down to a bucket of two people. I told you. A bucket of two people. People who hate this country, and because they hate this country, they tend to hate President Trump as well. They're one and the same. And then there are people who are so desperate to be a part of something besides the sick and twisted short-term validation that superficial technology has brought them on social media. They're so desperate for anything that resembles meaning. They can be recruited. They can be recruited for a political agenda at the drop of a dime. Drop of a hat, these people can be recruited. These people can be drafted to any kumbaya woo-woo political movement. And that's what the entire panoply of left-wing politics has become. You got your ideologues who understand what their real subversive agenda is. And that's what it is. It's subversive. Anybody who says we shouldn't have a border, you're a subversive. Think we're stupid? We're going to be the only country with no border? And don't say, oh, nobody's saying we shouldn't have a border. We just should allow the 15 million illegal immigrants that our president let in to stay in the country for some odd reason. No, you don't believe in having a border then. And if you don't believe in ICE having to go door to door in some cases of sanctuary cities where people like Jacob Fry, our Minneapolis mayor, openly says he will not comply with immigration law. If you don't agree with ICE having to do their job in a city like this, then you don't agree with ICE having to do their job. You don't agree with the fundamental need for ICE at all. It's why people like Hakeem Jeffries are saying we have to scale back ICE. He doesn't mean scale back. It's a dog whistle. He doesn't want to scale back. These are the same people who proudly proclaim sanctuary status in Democrat stronghold cities. They don't want to scale ICE back. They want to defund it. The same way they wanted to defund the police. They're running the exact same narrative again 6 years later. And a lot of black people walked away from them in 2020 because we looked up and we said, hey, even if we think that Derek Chauvin was wrong that day, and I do think, and I'll throw this out there for next weekend, it's obvious that his trial could not have possibly been fair when the same mayor and governor today made public statements that presumed his guilt. So his trial was not fair. And we have that crisis in our American court system on either side of the aisle, no matter which political, party you come from or perspective. We have that problem with our court system writ large. But even if you agreed that he was wrong that day, and I remember the great Rush Limbaugh, saying in the days after, yeah, this guy was wrong. I mean, this wasn't right. And Rush is, an icon, to say the least. But even if you believe that he was wrong, defunding the police should have been a non-starter. Question the methods, question the manner, question the practice. Those things are all reasonable, but that's how they get you. They draw you in with the reasonable questions that you would think we all agree on from the outset are right to ask. And then finally, when they get you in, they hit you with the subplot, which is defund the police. Now they want to defund ICE. You don't want a border. You don't want a border, and we see it. And if the American people aren't wise enough to understand the utility, the need for a border, the need to control, mass migration, illegal, unfettered illegal immigration. If the American people aren't wise enough to understand the need of that, then our leadership has to do it for us. And so in that way, your own ineptitude, your own political ineptitude, acumen, is the reason why ICE has to have such a heavy presence, because we weren't smart enough to stop it from happening, and it would seem we're not smart enough even to solve the problem after the fact. It's been another episode of the Royce White Show. The great Steve Bannon in War Room is up next. Appreciate your viewership and listenership today and in the future. God bless America, Godspeed. If you're in Minnesota, be safe. Go to caucus on Tuesday, February 3rd. America First and Ultra MAGA Movement, Real America's Voice. We'll see you next time.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
Stay tuned to get a free automatic toilet bowl cleaner from Mermaid. Your sink stopper's broken, but fixing a drain is such a pain. Not anymore. Introducing